Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
I'm Kimberley Sustad. I am a Hallmark actress, among other things. But primarily, I think we're here to talk about Wedding Every Weekend, which is premiering on Hallmark Channel on Saturday, this Saturday. Yeah. Well, you have Brooke is the character that I play. She's found herself a little bit sort of uninspired, I think, as of late, and wanting to take some risks in her life, wanting to take sort of the next step, even in her own career, just feeling like, wanting to make the next leap, but feeling a bit fearful to step out on her own. She's a physical therapist and has always kind of dreamed about having her own clinic. We begin the movie with her just in all of the safe places that she's created for herself, in a safe relationship, in a safe clinic, in a, safe town, all of those kinds of things. And along comes Nate, who is a bit of the opposite. But not so as well. Before we even meet, Brooke discovers that, maybe it's time to just take a break from dating, which feels like every Hallmark movie. But what is sort of signature of this one is there's a wedding every weekend. And upon meeting Nate randomly at shopping for a wedding gift for this couple that's coming up the next day, which they spot each other at that wedding, discover that they're actually going to every single wedding as they, the next wedding comes up and they're there, and the next wedding comes up and they're like, well, you're for sure not going to the next wedding. And they're there, and they sort of become wedding buddies because both of them are in this phase of, we need to take a break. We need to reassess our lives. We need to try and get out there on our own and find some independence and just kind of find ourselves. And they both meet each other at that same time, and we kind of watch them become wedding buddies, and they're quite the perfect wedding buddies, just in the way that they handle, I think, the obstacles of weddings when you do go to them. They are interesting. They are all unique. And they all present challenges for guests that arrive that aren't necessarily of your own. And it's unique to watch these two kind of navigate that, and also navigate feelings that arise without wanting them to interrupt some of the dreams that they have kind of put in place at the beginning of the movie, saying, I'm really going to go for this time. And that's a bit of the premise without giving the fallout and the end. Like a lot of the weddings that I've been to, weddings are so fun. First of all, I don't know, they just have like the energy is fun, the environment is fun, but they're also very unique to that couple. And you find yourself in a commentary about that, like no matter what. And it's fun to watch these two agree to disagree or disagree, and kind of work their way through the singles table, which they both find themselves at, where everybody else is a couple. And the singles table throughout all these weddings was a really fun place for me personally as an actor to be and just navigate. And it brings, there's a lot of rom-com to this whole movie. Watch these cop dramas, and we always watch these, ER dramas or, like hospital dramas and stuff like that. And like Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff, because they always produce drama every episode. There's just always new circumstances and new obstacles. But when I was filming this movie, I was like, wow, like every wedding definitely brings an obstacle. There are so many to planning a wedding, and there's so much drama just in that alone. So we get to know each couple a bit, which is also fun in this movie, and some of the obstacles that they're facing as well, and interact with that. So yeah, it's a good one. I did. This was one of the more fun movies that I have done in a long time, even since like 9 Lives of Christmas, which was really fun. I felt that I really connected to Merrily, which I think is some of the Hallmark audience's response to that, that and the cats, and a very good looking Brandon Routh, and actor also. But this was like one of the first ones that just had that natural humor and self-deprecation, and also just it just felt real, and it felt like I could relate so much to all of it, to making safe decisions even though your heart was desiring something a little more wild. And I'm not talking like crazy wild, like rock climbing off or jumping off a cliff, or like cliff diving or whatever, but I just mean like the kind of wild that is not in this like square safe zone that I think Brooke, my character, really drew out for herself. And I get why she does. You get into your like 30s and you start to draw those lines for yourself, and you start to box yourself in because the fear of whatever the future holds starts to become a little bit more of a reality. And so I really felt like I related to that, and I felt like that fear is very real. And I feel like that fear is really real for a lot of women who are single in their 30s. These days, especially in date on, what are those apps called? Like you know what I mean? Swipe left. There's like just a lot of swiping in all of these apps, or a lot of like clicking. And that's so tough, right? When there's so much going on for each person, and it's hard to actually get to know a person. And going to 4 different unique weddings with the same person brings up a lot of conversation about who you are, just like how you might do things, or where you come from. Just watching 2 people who are truly in love 4 times with somebody else is such a great setting point to fall in love. And it felt really unique, and something that I have not actually seen on Hallmark before. So I feel really lucky to be a part of that. And of course, the type of weddings that are happening are obviously unique to Hallmark as well. And so I feel lucky to be a part of that as well, and to share those stories of inclusion. And it gets a little more scary. Consequences become real, or like the clock is ticking for both parties, and it starts to just feel like, heavier. And I think both of these people in this movie, Nate and Brooke, are 2 heroes. Nate, which Paul Campbell plays, really experience that, or are in that currently, but yet really scared to take the plunge at the same time, because the fear of disappointment. They have been disappointed before, and they're really trying to avoid that. And I think that's so true also. By the time you hit 30 and you've had a few disappointments, there is a jadedness to it, but also just a fear to keep your heart safe. And that's where we begin this movie with these two people. And I think it's a great story. I think it's a great premise. I think shares a lot of truth. And I think it has a lot of romance in it. And so I honestly can't think of a better one for Hallmark to put forth for a summer wedding movie, or like for summer nights. Well, this is the second time that I've worked with Paul. We did a Godwink Christmas, was it 2 years ago? Uh, and he is a joy. We love working together. When we actually did a Godwink Christmas, fans have heard us say this time and time again, but we just felt like we had so much more comedically to bring, but our script was very sincere, and we're two people that try to be true to the story, right? You got to tell a story as the story is. And then we were given this opportunity, which has some circumstances and some obstacles that are just funny in themselves. And to watch Paul and I kind of navigate those as actors was a lot of fun, and the opportunity that we were kind of looking for. Once we got to know each other on the first movie, we were like, oh gosh, wow, would like a script that had some funny banter be so fun right now. And I feel like we kind of fully realized that in this one. So it was a nice sequel, but not a sequel, the pairing is a lot of fun, for sure. And like his is his own humor and mine is my own, but in a sense they're very similar. And we kind of meet our match, when we're in a scene together. So it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I do a lot of Christmas movies for Hallmark, and I play a lot of interesting characters. So I'm not normally in the nice dresses, funny enough. This is the first time that my wardrobe was like, wow, I even felt like real kind of fancy. And I guess I'm not gonna lie. I guess it felt nice to there was an aspect to kind of dressing up for each of these weddings that was added to the romanticism of it, and the specialness of that event. And each one was kind of unique. We had like one of them was a floral theme wedding. One of them was sort of was a Jewish wedding. One of them was I can't remember all of them, but like all of the dresses kind of go along with that theme in a Hallmark way. So gosh, oh man. Yeah, we which ones to tell and which ones can you not? As funneling through my mind right now. There are a lot of, we were the first production back with this pandemic. I think in general, not even just in BC. And navigating the face masks and the social distancing. I don't think I've even said this before. I don't even know if I can, but they're well, maybe I'm drinking wine. They're like mannequins, to help us socially distance. And yeah, there's just like a lot of funny moments of you think you're looking at someone, but there's no one there kind of moments, like as an actor, and just dealing with the weirdness of how strange it is to try to socially distance and make a movie with people. brought up a lot of obstacles and foot in your mouth moments that, yeah, were extraordinary, and I hope don't become the norm, but who knows, right? Who knows where I don't know. Yeah, you'd be like walking down the aisle in a wedding, and you'd be like, you kind of do, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's not that. But in the moment, I think it is. You kind of like do a little ad lib to somebody, but like there's no, it's just like, okay. And like you won't ever be able to tell, but yeah, it's just like something in order to help keep that social distancing and all of those protocols in place. It's the weird thing of movie making, right? I moved up from Seattle actually. I think in 2012, 2013, my very first Hallmark project was A Bride for Christmas. And after that project, I sort of started to become a supporting character quite quickly, and then 9 Lives, and then a lead character shortly after that. I can't even remember when 9 Lives of Christmas was. Was that like 2016? That was like 5 years ago, something like that. And yeah, so it wasn't my first Hallmark, but it was my first lead in a Hallmark movie as our main character. And thank God it was, because it was such a perfect script. That was like back in the glory, I say, the glory days of Hallmark, where things were really funny and not about hitting. They weren't doing 40 Christmas movies a year, or in a season. There weren't there maybe like 12 or 13 or something like that, but the scripts were more story based and not hitting the Christmas tree shop, although that was in there, but like the gingerbread making or the ice skating, like a lot of these 40 Christmas movies just sort of start to become nostalgia of Christmas. Back in the 9 Lives of Christmas time, I feel like a lot of those, and like The Bride for Christmas and stuff, we had a little bit more of a, here's two people that fall in love and it happens to be around Christmas time. And what's exciting about my journey with Hallmark that I feel like is it started there with 9 Lives of Christmas, and I've kind of gone through this like incredible boom that happened within their network, to where they started to do 40 Christmas movies a year, and just like a crazy audience base. And so they're pumping these things out. And now I feel like Wedding Every Weekend is the beginning, and I kid you not, of this new era that has a 2012 feeling, 2013 feeling of A Bride for Christmas or 9 Lives of Christmas. We're getting back to the story. We're getting back to the unique circumstance. We're getting back to the like focusing on what happens to these two people instead of meeting the check-marked boxes of our drinking Hallmark game, which is every time somebody goes ice skating or throws a snowball, take a drink, or something like that. And we're getting back to the story and allowing the funny to happen. Yeah, and you know what's fun about that character, and I'm excited to be able to put Marilee back on probably this year. We're going to be doing a sequel. Is sometimes with Hallmark leading ladies, they can feel lip glossed. You know what I mean? I'm not a lip glossed person in life, or in like, it's hard to even come across that way in a movie. And what felt so good about that character is she just wore the ugly sweaters and the puffy jacket, and like she was I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, wow, people that loved Hallmark movies finally had this person that was true to the everyday. She didn't like it. You would never have spotted me in heels. And even the one time her sister does make her dress up, it's a very uncomfortable situation for her. And I just feel like what was great about that is I am that girl. And I feel like so many of us are. We're not the professional lawyer who, you know what I mean? Like so many of these stories have this profession, or she was a student, going to veterinary school after looking after her sister. And yeah, just a lot of relatable aspects. So. Yeah, Christopher Palaha. I don't know. I think he's funny. I played his sister once, which might get in the way, but I doubt it. I mean, we played together in Hearts of Christmas. And when we were working together, even just as brother and sister, I was like, oh, he's funny, right? And he seems like a really great actor. And we had some great moments just in that movie. And I was like, I hope this never stands in our way of doing I'd like to have Christopher Palaha as my love interest in a future Hallmark movie. That would be great. My favorite place that I've ever traveled to was Cambodia. I love going places that are off the beaten path. Cambodia, we spent a lot of time doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And it felt like oftentimes when you were venturing on it, like we got dirt bikes and we just like went everywhere. You had this feeling, and I had this feeling when I was in Alaska, hiking in Alaska at times, that like no one had ever really been there, even though probably other people have, but it was just this really wild, kind of untamed place, and the people and the culture and them trying to rebuild, watching this entire country rebuild after what has happened to them was special. So that's, I think, one of my very favorite places.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.